What if I told you that the same words King David used 3,000 years ago, when he felt completely abandoned, could transform your English vocabulary today? Right now, millions of people around the world are discovering that ancient biblical texts aren't just spiritual treasures. They're linguistic gold mines packed with powerful expressions that native English speakers use every single day. In the next few minutes, you'll uncover 2 Psalms that contain some of the most emotionally charged phrases in the English language, expressions so vivid they'll stick in your memory forever. But here's the shocking part. Most English learners never realize they're studying vocabulary that shaped Shakespeare, influenced Churchill's speeches, and still appears in modern movies and songs today. These aren't just old religious words gathering dust on a shelf, they're living, breathing expressions that can make your English sound natural, emotional, and incredibly powerful. Let's dive straight into Psalm 28, where David opens with raw desperation. I pray to you, O Lord, my rock. Do not turn a deaf ear to me. Notice that powerful idiom, turn a deaf ear. This phrase means to ignore someone completely, and it's incredibly common in modern English. You might hear someone say, my boss turned a deaf ear to my suggestions, or the government turned a deaf ear to the protesters, or even don't turn a deaf ear to climate change. The beauty of this expression is that it creates a vivid mental picture. Imagine someone literally covering their ears and refusing to listen. That's exactly the emotional impact David wanted to create, and it's the same impact you can create when you use this phrase in your own English conversations. David continues with even more urgency, for if you are silent, I might as well give up and die. That expression, might as well, is absolutely crucial for English learners. It shows resignation, or the feeling that there's no better option available. When you say I might as well study English through the Bible, you're using David's exact grammatical structure. You'll hear this constantly in everyday English. It's raining, so I might as well stay home. Or the store is closed, so we might as well go to the restaurant instead. Notice how this phrase always introduces the best available option when your first choice isn't possible. David is essentially saying, if God doesn't answer me, my only remaining option is to give up completely. The psalm gets even more intense as David describes his enemies, those who speak friendly words to their neighbors while planning evil in their hearts. This perfectly captures the concept of being two-faced or hypocritical, emotions we all understand regardless of our native language. But look at the sophisticated vocabulary David uses. He doesn't just say bad people, he describes people who speak friendly words while planning evil. This teaches us that advanced English often contrasts appearance with reality. We might say someone speaks sweetly but thinks bitterly, or smiles to your face but stabs you in the back. These contrasting images make your English much more memorable and impactful than simply saying he's a bad person. Are you starting to see how these ancient words connect to your daily English conversations? David's language becomes even more powerful as he calls for justice. Give them the punishment they so richly deserve. Measure it out in proportion to their wickedness. The phrase "so richly deserve" is fascinating. It means someone has truly earned something through their actions, usually something negative. In modern English, you'll hear "he so richly deserves that promotion after all his hard work," or ironically, "she so richly deserves to fail after cheating on every exam." The word richly here doesn't mean wealthy, it means fully, completely, abundantly. It's an intensifier that makes your statement much stronger than just saying he deserves it. David uses another common expression that appears everywhere in English: pay them back for all their evil deeds. The phrasal verb pay back appears constantly in English, but it has two completely different meanings depending on the context. Sometimes it means revenge. I'll pay you back for embarrassing me in front of everyone. Other times it means returning money. I'll pay you back the $20 tomorrow. The context always makes the meaning clear, but both uses share the idea of returning something, either money or consequences. Notice how David's passionate language teaches us that English often uses physical, concrete imagery to express abstract emotions. When he says God will tear them down and they will never be rebuilt, he's using construction metaphors that English speakers absolutely love. We constantly talk about building relationships, tearing down arguments, constructing ideas, laying foundations for success, or demolishing someone's reputation. But watch what happens next. David's mood completely transforms in just a few words. Suddenly his tone shifts from desperate anger to explosive joy. Praise the Lord, for he has heard my cry for mercy. This dramatic emotional shift teaches us something crucial about English emotional vocabulary. The phrase "cry for mercy" is incredibly powerful, much stronger than simply saying "ask for help." In movies, courtroom dramas, and literature, you'll constantly hear characters make a cry for mercy or cry out for justice. These aren't just requests, they're desperate, emotional appeals that come from the deepest part of someone's heart. Can you feel the difference between "please help me" and "I cry out for mercy"? The second phrase carries so much more emotional weight and urgency. David's joy continues to explode across the page. I trust him with all my heart. He helps me, and my heart is filled with joy. I burst out in songs of thanksgiving. Look at that beautiful phrasal verb, burst out. It means to suddenly start doing something with great emotion and energy. She burst out laughing when she heard the joke. He burst out crying when he got the news. The entire crowd burst out singing the national anthem. This phrasal verb always suggests that the emotion was so strong it couldn't be contained, it just exploded outward. That's exactly what David is describing here. His gratitude is so overwhelming that he can't just quietly say thank you. He has to burst out in songs. David ends this psalm with shepherd imagery that's deeply embedded in English culture. Lead them like a shepherd and carry them in your arms forever. This metaphor of guidance and protection appears everywhere in English, from business leadership books that talk about shepherding a team through difficult times, to parenting advice about guiding your children like a loving shepherd. The reason this metaphor works so powerfully is that everyone understands the relationship between a shepherd and sheep. The shepherd protects, guides, feeds, and cares for sheep who can't take care of themselves. When we use this metaphor in English, we're immediately communicating ideas about protection, guidance, and loving care. Notice how David's emotional journey mirrors the ups and downs we all experience in language. Learning moments of frustration and feeling lost, followed by breakthrough moments of joy and confidence. Now Psalm 29 opens with a completely different energy. Honor the Lord, you heavenly beings. Honor the Lord for his glory and strength. The repetition here isn't accidental, it's a rhetorical technique that makes language more powerful and memorable. English speakers use this pattern constantly in speeches, advertising, and everyday conversation. Study English, practice English, live English, or work hard, play hard, rest hard. This repetition creates rhythm and makes your message stick in people's minds, much more effectively than saying something just once. Then David introduces one of the most repeated phrases in these verses, the voice of the Lord. This phrase appears 7 times in just 9 verses, teaching us about the incredible power of repetition in English communication. But David doesn't just repeat the same phrase, he shows us different ways to describe powerful speech. When he says the voice of the Lord echoes above the sea and the God of glory thunders, he's using nature imagery that creates vivid mental pictures. Modern English inherited this love for powerful, sensory language. We don't just say someone spoke loudly, we say their voice thundered across the room, or echoed through the building, or boomed like a cannon. These descriptions help listeners feel the power and impact of the speech, not just hear it. David's description gets even more dramatic as he continues. The Lord shatters the cedars of Lebanon. He makes Lebanon's mountains skip like a calf. He makes Mount Hermon leap like a young wild ox. Can you picture this incredible imagery? Mountains skipping like baby animals? This teaches us that effective English often combines the massive with the playful, the serious with the surprising. When you describe something powerful in English, try mixing unexpected comparisons like David does here. Instead of saying the music was very loud, try the music made the building dance like a child. This kind of creative comparison makes your English much more interesting and memorable. The psalm reaches its climax with an incredible display of natural phenomena. The voice of the Lord strikes with bolts of lightning. The voice of the Lord makes the barren wilderness quake. These aren't just beautiful images, they're teaching you essential English vocabulary for describing power and impact. When we say someone's speech struck like lightning or their presence made the room quake, we're using David's exact poetic techniques. These metaphors work because they connect abstract ideas, powerful speech, with concrete physical experiences, lightning strikes, earthquakes that everyone can understand and feel. David continues with another vivid image. The voice of the Lord twists mighty oaks and strips the forests bare. The phrase strips bare gives us another incredibly useful expression, bare meaning completely exposed or empty. The storm stripped the trees bare, the investigation stripped away his lies, leaving the truth bare, or the harsh criticism stripped her confidence bare. This expression always suggests that something protective or covering has been completely removed, leaving the essential thing exposed and vulnerable. David concludes with a powerful contrast that shows us advanced English structure. The Lord rules over the waters. The Lord reigns as king forever. The Lord gives his people strength. The Lord blesses them with peace. Notice how he moves from chaos floodwaters to stability reigning forever to personal benefit, strength, and peace. This emotional arc from turbulence to tranquility appears in countless English stories, speeches, and songs, making it an essential pattern for advanced English learners to master. The structure teaches us that effective English communication often follows this pattern. Identify the problem or chaos, establish the solution or authority, then show the personal benefits that result. What makes these Psalms so valuable for English learners is that they demonstrate how language can be both deeply emotional and perfectly structured at the same time. David uses simple words to express complex feelings, concrete images to communicate abstract ideas, and repetition to create power and memorability. These are exactly the techniques that will make your English sound natural, fluent, and emotionally engaging. Are you ready to discover how these timeless patterns can revolutionize your English expression and help you communicate with the same power that has moved hearts for thousands of years?